Hi, I'm Noel Jones. I'm sitting here with Ben Marcus, who just read from his latest novel, The Flame Alphabet. Thank you again for coming.
Thanks for having me.
I just have a couple of quick questions after uh, the reading, things that popped into my mind. So in the novel, is there some kind of a deconstructive manifesto, like underneath the text? That is to say that, are you suggesting that the language of young people today is destructive of the rules and the laws of the old guard? Although you did bring up a good point about the youth, how it's ever changing and it's not an eternal age bracket or demographics. It's something which always changes.
Yeah, the youth is a slippery category. You know, I had it for a while. You had it. You sort of still have it, but you're going to lose it in the next few weeks. There is no manifesto in the book, and even though children are harming their parents with their language, what's really going on as you read is you discover that it's just that children for a little while are immune to language, that they can produce it and consume it without getting sick, but that eventually that resistance wears off. I was thinking of it almost in the way we're resistant to the effects of a drug until we take too much of it and it starts to undo us. So it's not specifically a comment about children so much as it is about our abilities as people to comprehend, to understand, to hear, listen to language, and eventually it wears out. So children aren't being demonized so much as they get a run at it, and then eventually as they get to be late teenagers, their resistance wears off and they start getting sick too.
So when talking about language, whether language develops organically or unnaturally or by force, is it fair to say that language is wrong? It seems as if without language we can't communicate, even if it's through falsehoods and lies. We still need words to communicate ideas, and the novel is created by words through someone to whom the gift of communication is denied, so to speak. As you were saying that, do you feel that, in my mind, I kind of teeter between thinking language has gone too far and not far enough. I think the thesaurus is kind of proof that it has gone too far. There are too many words meaning the same thing, but at the same time, there is some form of a hurdle that we have to get over to better express ourselves and to better communicate. Do you have any idea what, if anything, can improve language, or do you think it's just something that will eventually come about?
I think we flatter ourselves to think that we can singly somehow have really any effect on the language. Languages outlast people, civilizations. Language is enormously adaptive. It is viral, as Burroughs suggested. It's something that we really hardly even understand. It's so crucial to our biology. If we don't learn language at a certain young age, our brains simply don't develop in the same way. So I prefer to stand in awe in front of it as a machine, as an organ, as a system. I don't think it's gone too far or that it's not gone far enough. I think when I think of it from a literary perspective about what's possible with language, of the things that haven't been done that could perhaps, well, I think just to backtrack of how I can read certain words in a poem, certain sentences in a novel, and something is unlocked in me and I start to feel things I didn't know I felt. And language did that. A person didn't do it. It was their language, and that makes me think language can do a lot more. That in fact, it has an ability to really show us to ourselves and to kind of deepen our experience. It's insanely powerful. So I'm not concerned that language might be being debased in Twitter or various social media. I mean, I think the language has a lot of facets, and that people want to have fun with it. They want to be silly with it. They want to be serious with it. I think it's all, in some sense, wonderfully out of our control, and we should, use it the way we like to use it.
Well, the sense of being out of control and using language the way we'd like to, and also the reference of Burroughs, sort of reminds me of your article which called out, not called out, that makes it sound like it's a schoolyard fight, but sort of brings attention to Jonathan Franzen's stance on almost what the purpose of a novel is and the novelist. Do you feel that it's the novelist or the writer of any medium, do you feel that it's their duty to educate their reader or to use their novels as a means of expressing not so much manifestos but personal preferences and belief systems? Or do you think that it's okay for a novelist or, again, a writer of any medium to just write to entertain or to use it as sort of a self-serving means of exploration, instead of psychoanalysis, just write a book or something of the sort? Do you feel that way, or what is your stance on the novelist's purpose, so to speak?
The last thing I would ever want to do is legislate what anyone does with language to entertain people. I think what's great is we can't be legislated. Someone might try to, but it's absurd. We live in a culture and in a world where people are trying a lot of different things with language to entertain, to make art, to engage, to consume, to confuse, to delight, and there's an enormous variety of it. We can look at what might sell the most, and sometimes I love some of that, sometimes I don't. But I'm not concerned to legislate for a single other writer on the planet. I just honestly don't care. I'm curious about what other people are doing. I try to keep up. I'm interested in the possibilities. I find that I like what might be called traditional writing when it's just done beautifully with feeling and with great skill. I have enormous respect for it and can be completely immersed by it. At the same time, I'm interested in what younger, lesser or unknown writers are doing, the people who want to try to show us a different way that language can be arranged. I'm insanely curious to see what's possible, because I think I deep down believe that the language is not done. We are not done figuring out what literature is, and that every day there's somebody new who has a vision, some intense draw to use words to make feeling on the page, and I want to see what that is. But besides that, I'm not interested in the duty of anyone else. They should do what they want.
You did say something earlier about how even the writing of this novel, The Flame Alphabet, it was, it was something that you wanted to write, and if at least one other person didn't hate it, that's great. I guess that is important, to not try to write for an audience, to write for yourself, or to just kind of...
But again, if someone decides that they've found a certain audience in Ottawa, Canada, that they want to write to, they should do that. I think there's just simply no reason why anyone should follow anyone else's idea or standard for this, unless it is compelling to them and makes sense to their own practice. So for me, I do write for a reader that is some version of myself, because I'm the reader I know best. I have access to my own thoughts and feelings, and I can try to write for myself and hope there might be enough other people somewhat like me who might react the same way.
And do you have anything else coming up soon? Any other projects that you're working on currently or plan to?
I'm finishing a collection of stories. It should be published summer 2013, about a little more than a year from now.
That just brings me to one other question. Personally, your own personal preference, what do you find more enjoyable to write, stories or novels?
It's really whatever I'm working on at the time. I do love working on stories. They can be vexing and difficult. A novel, on the other hand, is an amazing space to occupy once you fight off all the demons and warriors who are trying to prevent you from working on it, and then kill off all the other people coming at you with knives. When you get up and running with a novel, there's nothing like it. And I don't have to choose. I don't really. I think if I'm writing about something, or if I'm writing something that I'm consumed by, then I'm happy.
All right. Well, thanks again for coming, and good luck in the future. Thank you.